Pilgrims, and welcome to another episode of the Polygon Pilgrimage. Today I'm going to be showing you how the material works for, in Substance Designer here, how it works for the holographic material for our holographic effect that is upcoming. I'm going to show you both how I built it in here and some lessons learned inside of Unity to get it to work in there. So let's go ahead and get started. So first up, we have these things I called intersection markers. And these are these little plus symbol things you see here on the material that occur at the intersections of the main grid. So in order to create this, I began with a simple shape of a square. I pushed it through a transform to squash it down to one leg of the two legs of a plus here. And then I blended it with a copy of itself transformed, rotated 90 degrees the other way. So this created the plus. Then, this took a little bit of doing, but I threw it through a transformation 2D, and after I'd already connected it all the way up, I worked my way backwards to this in order to align it with the centers of the grid so that it would line up properly. I think this is actually an older version where they're not fully lined up properly, but I did a lot of tweaking here, and you can see this looks a little funky, but it actually gets it to line up perfectly. Then, I threw this into a tile generator color, and it has to be color because I wanted to throw it through a glow as well. So the tile generator color takes an input, which is this, and it tiles it and turns it into a tiling pattern. And then when I throw it through the glow, you can see here I made each of the individual crosses glow. And then we take the results of that and we'll move it forward into our combine. So remember that, and remember that this is going to be on the very top because we want it to go over top of the rest of the grids. So now, we're going to combine our other grids. So let's build our primary grid here is a tile generator color. And the one thing I take issue with, or rather I should say, it's confusing to me, and I understand why, is this is a tile generator. So you have to think that you're generating tiles. But in this instance, I was using this to generate a grid. So my brain was thinking vice versa the way it should have. If you look over here in the inspector, or I'm sorry, too much Unity, in the properties here, there are two color areas. This says color, and then down here this says background color. Well, if you're using the tile generator to generate a grid, what you want for the grid lines is actually your background color. So keep that in mind. That's what I had trouble with. But, you know, you can work through it. So I chose tile generator color, because I needed two colors. I needed this background color, or my lines color, and I needed the background for me. Background color is this color. So again, I throw it through a glow to make the lines glow a little bit. So let's move down to our secondary grid. The secondary grid is these subdivided lines you see here. So again, same thing, tile generated color, mess with the X and Y numbers in order to get the number I was looking for each cell, and then through a glow as well. And you can see my glow settings right here, just to give it a little bit of that, you know, energy kind of look and feel. Now let's come up to our combine. In our combine, remember our foreground element here is going to be the little pluses. So when we look at this, here we have combined with the original grid. And I'm going to blend this again with the background grid to get this effect. So now everything is all lined up, and again, this is an older version, so these do line up in the final. And the final you'll have access to. So then after this is all done, for the color, we just push that right over to the color spot, nothing really to do there. There is no normal map because it's supposed to be a flat surface. And my roughness and metallic are simple colors that I can change later on if I wish. Moving down to the emissive control. Now this is to generate our emissive texture, which actually didn't end up working for me in this instance, and I'll show you why. So for the emissive, I took this and I brought it down into a grayscale conversion. I wanted to make a grayscale value out of this to pull the light and darks. As usual, I pass it through a levels in order to have greater control over the look and feel I'm searching for. And this is my height map, which I try to height map with this, and holograms don't really work well with height maps. But so we'll ignore that. We can even break the connection, but it's good to have something in the slot, I guess. So pass it through a levels, and then we have an emissive output. And the way I generated this output is if you right click, say I want to add a node, and I want to add an output. Why did I just go right past it? There it is. Output, and you have to tell it what kind over here. So I'm going to add an item to the usage. How will this be used? This will be used as an emissive. Now the other thing to note is, if you look back and forth carefully at these two, this one has a lot of information here. The identifier is emissive, the label is emissive, and the group is called material. If I look at my new one, I have output, nothing, and nothing. Now the group categorization here will take all of these that all have material in their group name, and it will group them together to call this one material. This is very useful and very necessary when you get to much more complicated substances, so keep that in mind. So by filling these in like I have here, I've connected it all up, and I told it you're going to be an emissive material, and it said, good, I know how to do that. And now here's our final material, and it looks really good. So let's take a look at it inside of Unity. So I'm going to bring up Unity here, and here's a sneak peek of the final design here. This is the material over top of a terrain, and now if you take a look at the material, it's glowing really nicely, but my emissive material is not the one that I exported. So let's take a look at this. So if I go to my material here called Hollow Material, here it is. This is the material that's applied to this plane, and you'll notice that everything seems to be pretty normal. I have emission, I have the base color is white, which means don't affect anything from what I have it the way I want. And I have an amount, which I can scale up and down and make it really glow or not glow, whatever I feel like doing. Put that back to what I like. And my emissive material here. So you'll notice when I click this, it shows me that I'm using my base color and not my emissive map. Because when I set it to be my emissive map, if I go back to the plane, to the material, if I choose my emissive map, which I think is one of these, emissive, yes, you'll notice it got really blown out. I don't really like it, and I have to end up changing the amount of emission quite a bit to get it to even display, and even then it just doesn't seem to work properly. So I think the thing with emission that I'm missing is that it needs to be color. So then I look at it and say, hey, what if I change this to the color that I'm looking for, something more in this range, and even still it's not quite what I want. So I kind of said, forget that, let's go back to the way I know it, the way I enjoy it. So let's go 1.32, and I set it to use a copy of the diffuse. Now by doing that, I get the effect I'm looking for. Now that happened to work in this instance for this particular project. I don't know if that's the correct way or if that's the best way, so if you guys are doing this, experiment with it, let me know what you find. And I did set some tiling here to change the size of the grid. And I do have the latest of the table, the surface of the table here that actually projects the light in order to generate the hologram. That actually has an emissive quality to it as well. So I need to make sure that I have a solid solution to make that glow as well. So, but overall, I think it turned out really nice. It's looking really good here, it's looking really good here, and this final material will be available for download from the website when the episode that goes out that shows how we generate this effect. I have a whole lot coming for this effect, and this is just a static image, really. The final effect is so much more than this, and I can't wait to show you guys. So, as always guys, keep practicing, get better, and I will see you next time as the pilgrimage continues.